Bro, I have it all over my face.
I thought you were used to that. Go to the bathroom, dude.
Whatever.
Shut up.
Shut up. Big strong boy arms.
My big, strong boy arms. We're gonna get this.
Emo culture is something that's been around for decades and can easily be traced back to the mid-1980s. Early on, bands ditched the already overplayed macho aggression of punk for something rawer with hard-on-sleeve lyrics about heartbreak, identity, and existential dread. They called it emotional hardcore. And by the 90s, it morphed into emo proper with a lot less yelling and more focus on melody. The earliest adopters from the 1990s also gave it a moody, introspective vibe, making it into something for sensitive dudes with floppy hair to strum their feelings to. The early 2000s were emo's golden era. Black eyeliner, side-swept bangs, and Hot Topic tees became the uniform for the cool teens of yesteryears, as it quickly became an option for suburban kids who felt too much and didn't fit in. And if you've probably come across these kids who seem to always scream anarchy and would never be seen in anything that is not black, while also wearing fishnets and as much eyeliner as humanly possible, yeah, that's emo culture. And it's experienced a resurgence in recent years, with its influence evident in various online spaces. The aesthetic associated with emo, characterized by dyed hair, fishnets, chokers, and heavy eyeliner, has been embraced and reinterpreted by e-girls and e-boys on platforms like TikTok. This resurgence has also given rise to a new generation of emo influencers, including Jake Weber, Carrington, Johnnie Guilbert, and tarayummy. These creators have amassed substantial followings on platforms like YouTube and TikTok, captivating audiences with their content and personalities. Jake Weber first gained popularity on Vine, the now defunct social media app. He's often seen as the leader of his influencer group. After moving to Los Angeles, he became close friends with other creators, including Johnnie Guilbert, an emo-focused personality known for his punk rock style and past relationship with Stranger Things star Chrissy. There was also tarayummy, a TikTok star and Jake's ex-girlfriend, and Carrington, a musician who adds to the group's creative mix. Together they represent a new wave of emo culture, inspired by bands like My Chemical Romance, but with a modern internet-era twist. Their online vibe is casual and friendly, making fans feel like they're part of the group. Their journey to fame hasn't been without drama or controversy, but those moments have only added to their visibility. Despite the ups and downs, they've kept a loyal fan base and remained relevant in the ever-changing online world.
If I was a bad, I wanna me too. I wanna suck me too. I wanna me too.
The group is no stranger to controversy. From collecting Ouija boards made by serial killers to a Halloween party that turned into a major scandal last year, the group seems to always attract chaos. In October 2024, a TikToker named Raven accused the group of drugging, assaulting, and abandoning them at Johnny's party. Jake claimed Raven wasn't invited. Carrington avoided the issue, while Johnny and his girlfriend Grace apologized. The situation became a he said, they said mess that caused an uproar online.
So I'm just gonna lay out my dirty laundry at this point because I've been holding this in my body for however many months it's been, since October. I've been going in a downward spiral ever since October because I went to an influencer party. To be specific, I went to Johnnie Guilbert's Halloween party, and at this party I got extremely inebriated. I believe that I got roofied. They still want to debate whether or not that happened or not, but even so.
By 2025, the crew's at a crossroads. Jake is still reeling after he and Tara broke up and is now allegedly dating Kenzie Luby, while still churning out content with Johnny and Carrington. Tara, on the other hand, has also gone solo, playing podcasts and music videos, but not without the occasional Jake appearance. They've all built a legacy on being real, raw, loud, a little reckless, but can they outrun the shadows? This video is your front row seat on one hell of a ride through their rise, their ruckus, and whatever's next. Love them, loathe them, they're the Chaos Crew, and we're not looking away.
Pink, 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 swirls, 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 glitter, 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 swirls, 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 together forever, we're Linda and Heather, best friends.
Let's rewind to the beginning, because Jake Weber didn't just pop out of nowhere. Born on June 11th, 1998 in the small town of Kansas, this guy was a fidgety dreamer with a knack for grabbing attention. By 2014, he's 16 and Vine's the new hot toy. Jake jumps in, posting 6 seconds of chaos in video formats. So basically, clips of dumb pranks with over-the-top loud laughs and that scruffy charm that screams to everyone that he's there. He's not polished, but he's real. Inside a year, he's got 800,000 followers hooked on his goofy energy.
Boy Jake, and it's love my friends Clock, walking down the block with my bestie Sam go box. I love Kobe's eyes and I always share my fries. I do pull up with the group and my homies looking cute.
Vine dies in 2017, but Jake's already got the bug. He's not staying in Kansas. The Big Apple, LA's calling, and he's got big plans. Fast forward to 2018. Jake moves to Los Angeles, and it's like the universe hands him a squad on a platter. First up, Tarayummy, real name Tara Thompson, born July 31st, 2000. She's this bubbly California girl with a wild streak, posting TikToks that mixes comedy and chaos. They meet through the influencer grind, start dating in 2019, and boom, power couple alert. After meeting Tara, Jake then meets Johnnie Guilbert, the eyeliner-wearing punk kid with a guitar and a vibe. He's collabing with Jake early on, bringing that alt edge. Then much later, Carrington slides in too, a music guy with a chill demeanor, rounding out the crew. They're all either in their late teens or early 20s, chasing clout in a city that eats dreamers alive. This crew clicks fast. They're not just friends, they're a brand. Jake's YouTube channel, launched in 2014, takes off with vlogs, ghost pepper challenges, haunted house trips with pure unscripted madness. Tara's TikTok blows up too, hitting millions with her relatable rants and alt-emo fits. Johnny's got his own lane, blending music and vlogs, while Carrington's beats ties their chaos to a soundtrack. By 2019, they are all living together, filming together, building this hang out with us vibe that fans can't get enough of. It's emo culture reborn. Black tees, chipped nail polish, and a nod to the 2000s MySpace era. They're not corporate influencers. They're the weird kids who made it. And the general vibe with this crew is that they're all great friends on and off the screen with silly clips of each other. By 2019, they're golden. Jake and Tara's relationship is peak couple goals. Vlogs of them thrifting, pranking, just vibing together fills the internet. They're loud, they're real, and fans eat it up. Jake's YouTube channel hits 1 million subs. Tara's TikTok's at 8 million. Johnny's still carving his niche while also dating a big movie star. They start throwing parties on 4th of July, Halloween, you name it. They're filming vlogs that rack up millions of views. It's this mix of punk nostalgia and internet savvy that lands them in the alt spotlight. Emo's back, baby, and they're the face of it. It's totally giving Fall Out Boy energy, but it feels like you're in the room with them. They're not just creators, they're a lifestyle. But not all that glitters is gold, and even if it is, it would not last forever. By late 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, Jake drops a video that's pure Jake, with an eerie caption that reads, "This Ouija board was made by a serial killer." In the video, he's messing with a board from Nico Cloux, a well-known French serial killer with a nasty rap sheet. It's Halloween season, sure, but this isn't dark, it's too dark for some. His fans are split on their reactions. Some love the edge, and others call it exploitative of the victims of the killer. The rapid influx of comments reflected a mixture of disapproval and disappointment from his core fans and wider audience. Some think the act was messed up, and others say he was just chasing views. Both were common sentiments. This marked Jake's first major controversy, a sign that the group's chaotic energy might have unintended consequences. Tara remained unaffected, Johnny stayed consistent, and Carrington kept a low profile. However, Jake was pushing boundaries, and the situation was about to become more complicated. Jake's video of him playing with his serial killer's toy and meeting him in person keeps buzzing. On forums like Reddit's Our Cancelled Pod talks about him lighting up the place with activity. People are pissed, saying he's glorifying murder for clout and trivializing the experience of the victims of Nico Cloux, calling him a creep for his actions, and also pointing out that he owns other questionable items. But Jake doesn't care to even bat an eye to those comments. He shrugs it off and keeps posting, even going as far as meeting with Nico and eating with him. He later deleted all evidence of that on his social media, probably on the advice of a manager, but clips still circulate in the dark corners of the internet. Some fans stick by him still, telling themselves that it's just Jake being Jake, but some others bounce after he failed to even acknowledge the criticism that he got for the actions, a silence that we would come to see more of from not just him, but also from members of his crew. He's still got millions watching though, and his team is rolling strong. Tara's killing it on TikTok, Johnny's dropping punk covers, Carrington's beats are humming. They're untouchable, or so they think. Fast forward to 2023 when the big shakeup hits. Jake and Tara call it quits after 4 years of dating. from February 2019 to August 2023. There was no prior talk about the possibility of such an event, not even a fight or argument or any talks of cheating. So it's easy to understand why the fans were absolutely gagged when they woke up one day to Jake and Tara's joint video that was titled "Meet My Ex-Boyfriend" on Tara's YouTube page, and Jake and Tara break up on Jake's YouTube page.
My ex-boyfriend. I'm here with Jake Weber. Can you confirm you're Jake Weber?
I'm Jake Weber.
And I'm tarayummy.
I recently changed my name to Subway legally because Subway promised that if someone changed their name to Subway legally, they would have free subs for the rest of their life, and
they haven't reached out to you.
They didn't reach out to me.
And that's so shitty. I'm so sorry.
So now I'm thinking about changing my name to Randall.
Okay. And I support you.
Thanks.
I support every decision you make. And that's why we're here to make this video. Because just because we broke up does not mean we're not friends.
And we're going to do what friends do. We're going to go get coffee.
Is that what friends do?
Basically, what we're saying is we're the exact same relationship, but we don't smooch.
Right. Jake and Tara is still Jake and Tara.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. This Jake and Tara is Jake and Tara have broken up. Any word from Tara?
I guess I won't yell at you in this one.
In the various videos, they say it's chill and that there was no drama, that they're still friends. They also explain that they've not been given the opportunity to be able to explore and understand themselves as they started dating when Jake was 20 years old and Tara was 18. So they both had very little experience in adulthood and were taking this chance to learn more about their individual selves. They also explained that they had lived with and experienced each other largely in front of an audience, and that explained why they needed to make those videos. Also adding that they plan to still remain good friends, keep in touch, and hang out as much as possible. But as good-willed as they tried to make it seem, their fans freak out anyway. Panic ensues, talks about the end of an era for both their careers as influencers, and they also question who gets custody of the vlogs they made together. And another group of fans are just happy that they're staying friends and maintaining their relationship, while moving on in a very healthy manner. They also praise Jake and Tara for their show of maturity in handling this situation. And it really seemed like Jake and Tara had everything figured out. As the breakup drama was still being digested by fans, Tara quickly seemed to move on with her life, leaning into her solo grind with regular podcast appearances and music videos, while Jake focuses on keeping the crew tight with Johnnie and Carrington, while also explaining the dynamics of their relationships to the broader audience. There appears to be no bad blood, just a pivot, but it's a signal. Things are changing, and not everyone's ready for what's next. Well, months after the public breakup with Tara, Jake continued with his life, and everything appeared to be going smoothly as usual. His social media platforms got contents uploaded regularly, and he and Tara even maintained their friendship, and even appeared in a couple more videos together after they had broken up, keeping to the promise they made to each other to keep being friends. But as the good times persisted, so did the occasional drama. Sometime around mid to early last year, Jake had a large portion of his fan base turn against him. Why? Well, it was for something that didn't seem so serious at the start of it all. So after Tara, Jake started hanging out with a bunch of other girls, which was no biggie. I mean, he's a grown man in his mid-20s, so of course he can be with any woman. But they weren't just hating on him for the women he was with, it was all because of one specific woman who goes by the name Belle Delphine. Now, if you don't know who that is, it's no problem because she is quite a notorious character. Belle is a fairly popular adult content creator and OnlyFans model that started out normal like every other girl on Tumblr, and that got her moderately famous. But it wasn't until after 2019 when she made a comeback and also started selling her bath water. Yeah, you heard that right. She was selling her bath water to strangers online, that she got really famous for such an unusual product. But even then, she didn't stop there. Seeing that she got a freaky audience, she then upped the ante and started wearing adult-sized children's clothes, as well as adding childish antics in her adult videos. An act that was frowned on by the general public because of the way such contents could easily inspire pedophilia among her young and easily influenced audience. But Jake didn't seem to care though, he just didn't mind. And her controversial personality stayed away from Jake until the day he decided to follow her back on Instagram after she followed him. And there was outrage all over his social media accounts, people calling him slurs and derogatory terms, saying that he's supporting and endorsing her acts by following her. But Jake didn't see it that way. Instead, he insists that she was a crush of his from years back, 6 years to be precise, and she followed him recently on Insta, and he simply followed her back because he likes to follow some cool creators back, adding that he was not aware of any controversy surrounding her online appearances and that it was all done in some kind of creator's appreciation.
I'm canceled on TikTok. Oh, yeah, the Belle Delphine situation. Dude, honestly, like, that clip is 6 years ago, and it was right when she got famous. Like, literally everyone I knew, like, talked about her, and I didn't know about any controversy at that point. But yeah, that was like 6 years ago. I had no idea what happened in between, and yeah, she like followed me recently, and I followed her back because I usually follow people that are also a creator as well. And I mean, when I found out about the controversy, I unfollowed her.
But the audience does not buy it. They instead suggest that Jake was into those weird fetishes, and that Belle was not a random follow-back as he wants them to believe, while also calling out his claims that he wasn't aware of any controversies surrounding her, as it's not something that was hidden, it was clearly everywhere for all to see. So Jake claiming to have not been aware that his celebrity crush was posting videos in questionable outfits was quickly blown out of the water. The agenda continued, and they backed up their claims by drawing similarities between Belle and other girls that Jake had been with in the past, mostly focusing on their sizes, and strangely, their facial expressions in some pictures. They also bring back an interview where Jake was still with Tara, and they were both asked to write down the other person's celebrity crush, and Jake wrote down Tommy Lee for Tara, and she wrote down Belle Delphine for Jake, which again disproves Jake's claims that he wasn't aware of Belle's actions, since he has known her for that long.
Tommy Lee, Belle Delphine.
Back to the similarities between Belle Delphine and Jake's other female friends and or exes, the most questionable attribute is really the faces that they make in pictures that has caught the attention of fans. The ahegao face, as it's known, is something that is originally associated with Asian cartoons and anime, especially with the younger female characters, but Jake and his cohort have managed to make it into a thing, it seems, and their general childish behavior is also something that we've seen from them, all that raises eerie suspicions. Another red flag is the size of the women that Jake is into. They're all coincidentally small, like really small, almost childlike. Especially Tara, his longtime girlfriend and possibly best friend. She's just about 4 feet 11 inches tall. This is also something that's been heavily emphasized by the people in her life, from podcast show hosts to random comments on her height and whatnot.
You are a dream.
What?
Like you're like small and dainty, so it's like you're kind of like a kid.
It's also worth noting that Tara has some clips of her being strangely childish with and around Jake, asking for uppies, which given the context of the video means that she wants him to pick her up from the ground.
Honey, I want uppies. Can you carry me to dinner? Uppies, 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 uppies!
And Jake picks her up and carries her on his back as she requests to be carried to dinner in the video. Something that fans point out is eerily similar to the kind of content that his celebrity crush Belle Delphine continues to push and promote. Fans are enraged, and they let their thoughts fly. Some calling him weird for his unique choices, and also calling on the women that he's making to do these things to stand up and speak for themselves. But again, as we've seen with past scandals, Jake goes on unscathed, with his fans still obsessing. Like that, the scandals with his taste in women and the issue with him following Delphine was suddenly over, and he didn't even unfollow Belle Delphine on Instagram. He just gave a shabby explanation and said that she was a past crush of his and kept on following the same girl. With no repercussions, it can only be Jake. As it turned out, Jake didn't seem to be able to stay away from controversy and negative spotlights on him, probably because he was young, impulsive, and full of passion. However, as the saying goes, the higher you climb, the harder you fall. And Jake really pushed it with the efforts to be seen as spooky after he saw the amount of attention that he got earlier after he showed the world his collectible item, the Ouija board, from a serial killer. Soon after the first event, Jake is again seen with another questionable memorabilia, this time in a video where he seemed to be showing off a painting. And it's not just any painting, it's a painting of a clown in a background setting that seems like the woods. And Jake brings the camera closer, showing who the artwork was credited to. It was painted by one J.W. Gacy. J.W. Gacy, as in John Wayne Gacy, the notorious clown killer? No, it couldn't be. oh, he's just taken edgy to a whole new level with this new stunt. And again, the fans are torn between reactions. Some of them don't think too much about it and they just accept it at face value, and as a statement on his own personal style, seeing it as his own form of edgy expressions, while some others can't understand why he owns something like that, especially given the artist's history, and they call him weird for owning such. And then someone pointed out how cringe and try-hard it was for him to have that, while also alleging that John Wayne Gacy did not actually paint that. He instead had an assembly line of prisoners that painted for him, and he only put his name and signature on their paintings, saying this was what was reported by a prison guard for Gacy's time. But there's not one evidence to this claim. It could just be people trying to sensationalize the events back then to push an agenda. Another set of fans also thought it was weird for a male to be collecting memorabilia from a convicted, murdering pedophile whose victims were mostly young boys, adding that such a painting might be cursed with bad juju and would be a very risky move to own and keep one. But again, all of these were just shared sentiments that people held after seeing how happy and proud Jake was to show and almost brag about that piece of art. And that is where it ends. A further analysis into Jake Weber's life reveals a lot more than just vague allegations of pedophilia. His general vibe, which is basically emo rock, seems more like a style and culture that he adopted on his way to become a full-blown influencer, not exactly a moment that he totally relates to. And a quick flashback to his life before he became famous would help understand why people feel this way about him.
Boy Jake, Annis, love my friends Clock, walking down the block with my bestie Sam go box. I love Colby's eyes and I always share my fries. I do pull up with the group and my homies looking cute. Yeah.
As I see that Jake lived the bulk of his life already without ever needing to apply eyeliners, dye his hair, nor cover up his body in tattoos. So you have to understand why people and his fans are calling him out, especially since he recently got an anarchy tattoo on his left shoulder, which is a huge contradiction for someone who owns a Tesla. Jake argued in his defense that he does not agree with everything that is preached in emo culture, while also stating that he's not emo and he just likes the fashion style, music, and some aspects of emo culture, but not all aspects. As expected, not everyone is won over by this weak defense of his, and the battle drags on until it reaches its peak when Jake, the emo influencer with a tattoo of the anarchy symbol, goes on to buy a Tesla. To understand why his core fans were really pissed, you have to know that emos, or e-boys and e-girls, are basically against institutions of capitalism and general materialism. So Jake getting a Tesla seemed to them that he was selling out, especially since he just got that anarchy tattoo. It's like screaming hell to capitalism while sipping champagne on a yacht. And this action only amplified the screams, calling him a culture vulture, and that he wasn't really invested in the lifestyle that he chose to lead and was only looking to profit from it.
Person. I don't buy anything for myself, really. I don't care about cars. It gets me from A to B. But the alternative police have been on my ass lately. And this video doesn't help, but it's a positive thing, I would say. I'm very thankful that I'm in a position where I could do something like this. Hopefully, I'm praying to God that this video...
Jake's attempts to explain himself were futile, as the fans were unreceptive and unwilling to listen. Recognizing the futility of his efforts, Jake eventually gave in and denied being emo or punk. He ultimately admitted that he couldn't relate to the real-life struggles that inspired the movement and dismissed his critics as bitter and miserable while maintaining his innocence.
You know what? I've actually seen some people upset about my anarchy tattoo because they're like, oh, he's not punk. He drives a Tesla. And I'm not trying to claim to be punk out here. I didn't know that like people held even the word punk to such strict standards. I mean, to that point, it's like, who even wants to be that? Like, who wants to be the punk police? But I generally don't care to prove myself. I don't have labels. I don't care about labels. I do not care to prove myself to the TikTok punk police. I know a lot of people in the punk community.
He further expressed his disbelief in labels and his past indifference towards them, particularly the emo and punk cultures. This behavior exemplifies Jake's pattern of avoiding accountability. When faced with wrongdoing, he shifts blame or absolves himself of responsibility. He often feigns a lack of understanding to later excuse his actions with claims of being under influence or similar justifications. In October 2024, a major controversy erupted within the friend group surrounding Jake Weber. Johnnie Guilbert, who had a tradition of hosting influencer parties and vlogging about them later on, it was an incident that occurred at their annual Halloween party, which, like their previous events, was a highly exclusive, invite-only affair with strict security. The situation escalated when a TikToker known as Raven on TikTok popular for their music about trauma, boasting a decent following of over 500,000 followers, showed up uninvited and managed to gain entry to the party, an act that was probably enabled by her friend Carrington, but what followed was a series of events that Raven described as a horrific ordeal. So after the party, Raven claims that they were roofied, so basically their drink was spiked with other drugs or substances, and they sort of spiraled in and out of control at the party. The alcohol, which was already bad enough as they couldn't really handle a lot of it, they added, with whatever was added in their drink, caused them to black out and be left alone at the party.
So I'm just gonna lay out my dirty laundry at this point because I've been holding this in my body for however many months it's been, since October. I've been going in a downward spiral ever since October because I went to an influencer party. To be specific, I went to Johnnie Guilbert's Halloween party, and at this party I got extremely inebriated. I believe that I got roofied. They still want to debate whether or not that happened or not, but even so, doesn't fucking matter. I left alone without my phone. They watched me leave alone without my phone, and I ended up getting somehow picked up by two strange men and kidnapped and raped and ended up in front of my adoptive parents' house. And I was crashing out in front of their house and screaming horrible things at them, so they called the cops. Cops didn't come until I ran up the hill and found somebody driving in their car and was like, hey, I don't know what happened. I'm like, I didn't even understand what was going on because I was so out of it. But yeah, I ended up going home in a cop car that morning. It was the first time I've ever been in a cop car, and then they filed a restraining order against me, which they won.
Subsequently, they also claimed that they were so disoriented that they did not leave with their phone and was left alone to find their way home, even though Jake, Johnny, and Carrington were all there and all saw how they were struggling. They alleged that they were picked up by two strange men in a ride back to where they arrived from, and that they were groped in the ride home by these men. They only regain consciousness, and they wake up at their adoptive parents' home in a state of distress, not knowing what has happened to them, neither at the party nor the ride back. The incident resulted in police involvement, the filing of a restraining order against them, and accusations of assault, specifically being groped, directed towards Jake, Carrington, and Johnny, as they did not know who the two men in the Uber were.
Which they won. So I have a restraining order against me for 5 years, which is really, really crazy. But it's just been bad after bad after bad after bad, and I even tried to talk to people from this party after to figure out what the f even happened, and they've just been rude to me. It's just not cool. I ran into him at emo night too. I saw him and I was like, hey, can I just talk to you for 2 seconds? And he gave me like a, I gotta go catch up with my friends type shit. Like, it was just really insensitive. Like, hi, I was probably one of the youngest people that went to that party, and I believe that I got roofied. And even if I didn't, I told you guys what happened after that. Like, why can't you sit there for 5 minutes while I ask? I just want to know what happened. Like, I just wanted to talk to him about it, and he just was not having it. So yeah, it's just been tough. I have no money. I've been watching these same people, you know, just go and just living life like they have no care in the world. And here I am, like, literally don't even remember the last time I had a full meal. And the joke is, too, like, I was getting told.
She also said that she was told by people that know Jake, Johnny, and company to stop posting about that night and to stop talking about whatever might have happened that night because they were scared or worried about what conversations about those events might lead to all parties involved. Raven's story painted a picture of a person in crisis, emotionally distraught, financially struggling, and deeply traumatized. When they attempted to reach out to Carrington through direct messages and even made a plea in person at an emo night event, trying to know what happened that night, but their efforts were met with silence.
Not posting about that night because they were scared or worried or whatever. There's not a day that goes by where I don't think about that night. It was the most traumatic night of my entire life, and I can say that hands down. There's no doubt about it. The most traumatic night of my life. Whether I got roofied or not was, it's literally doesn't matter because I left alone without my phone, and they knew that I left alone without my phone. Nothing makes sense. Nothing that night made sense at all. My mental health has been in the gutter ever since then, and I think about that all the time. It awakened some sort of anger and envy in me for, you know, just influencers that, like, there's more too. Jake Weber, oh my god, Jake Weber, for the comment he made about who the woman who was my manager at the time went to go get my phone from their house 2 days later, and he made some comment about, like, or to his friend about, like, oh, Raven's manager and her son came and they were so invasive, and, you know, they just probably wanted a picture or something. Mind you, her son is 10 years old and has Down syndrome. Like, he's not on TikTok, clearly. And I'm just like, why would you ever, who do you think you are? You 26-year-old YouTuber. Who do you think you are, is my point. Like, are you a human being? Because you don't act like one. It's just infuriating. And I'm looked at like I'm a crazy because apparently when I was that inebriated that night, I was acting like a psychopath to all these influencers there, and I was fangirling and shit. And like, that's just not who I am. I don't fangirl over people like that. I couldn't give a less of, like, how famous you are. Like, that's just not who I am. And anyways, that's what's been eating me alive for months. That's what's so frustrating.
Jake allegedly responded dismissively when Raven's manager visited to retrieve the phone, labeling it as invasive. Carrington remained evasive, and the internet erupted with fans demanding answers and skeptics accusing Raven of seeking attention, but was simply untrue, as we clearly see from her caption in the video. But almost nobody believes her story, and those that do say that none of the party hosts could be blamed for what happened, especially since she wasn't even invited to the party in the first place. Theories upon theories kept flying all around, and no one knew for sure what happened until Jake and crew started to respond to the allegations and claims labeled against them by Raven.
Or worried or whatever. There's not a day that goes by where I don't think about that night. It was the most traumatic night of my entire life, and I can say that hands down. There's no doubt about it. The most traumatic night of my life. Whether I got roofied or not it's literally doesn't matter, because I left alone without my phone, and they knew that I left alone without my phone. Nothing makes sense. Nothing that night made sense at all. My mental health has been in the gutter ever since then, and I think about that all the time. It awakened some sort of anger and envy in me for, just influencers that, like, there's more too. Jake Weber, oh my god, Jake Weber. For the comment he made about the woman who was my manager at the time went to go get my phone from their house 2 days later, and he made some comment about, like, or to his friend about, like, oh, Raven's manager and her son came and they were so invasive, and they just probably wanted a picture or something. Mind you, her son is 10 years old and has Down syndrome. Like, he's not on TikTok, clearly. And I'm just like, why would you ever, who do you think you are, you 26-year-old YouTuber? Who do you think you are, is my point. Like, are you a human being? Because you don't act like one. It's just infuriating, and I'm looked at like I'm a crazy, because apparently when I was that inebriated that night, I was acting like a psychopath to all these influencers there, and I was fangirling and shit. And like that's just not who I am. I don't fangirl over people like that. I couldn't give a less of like how famous you are. Like, that's just not who I am. And anyways, that's what's been eating me alive for months. That's what's so frustrating, and I knew that if I posted about it then, I would get views and I would get paid off that video and whatever, but I'm so mortified and scared of their fan base because of how insane that they can be, and it's a bunch of 13-year-old people that watch them on YouTube. I don't need that. But yeah, and it's frustrating too, because it's like Carrington and I were supposed to make music together, and like then he, like, this whole situation happens and he doesn't give a and he thinks I'm weird, and like I have a video of me and Carrington in my camera roll. I never posted it. Like, I never posted it. I very well could have. But yeah, that's what's been eating me alive. That's what's been on my mind. That's what's been haunting me every single day. And they don't even care. Like, they don't even care that I had to go to the hospital. I had to go to several different places to try to get a grape kit. They don't care. Like, I tried to DM Carrington trying to get my phone back type shit, like the day after or whatever. I recorded a 4-minute audio message for them to play. I sent to my manager at the time. Sent it to her when she was going to get my phone to play for them, of me apologizing for my behavior that night because I didn't know what happened. Like, I was so embarrassed and so mortified, and then just everything that happened after that, I was like, wow, I know exactly the kind of people you are. Like, it's just, they don't care. They don't give up. It's ridiculous. So, yeah, Carrington, if you see this, you, honestly, and Jake Weber, if you see this, too, you guys are sad people, very, very sad people. You don't care about any of the damage that happens after these parties. You don't. I've heard from other people too. It's not even just me. I've heard from other people in LA that say you can't go to one of those parties without something bad happening. And unfortunately, I was the one that had to deal with that. And no one seems to give a shit. So that's why I'm not doing great. And if they want to come out here and say, oh, she's lying and this didn't happen, I'm not lying about a damn thing. I'm not lying about a damn thing. I even said, I think I got roofied. You guys want to say that I didn't, but you guys say you have security footage that whole night. Why haven't I seen it? Why haven't my manager seen it? Why haven't anybody? Why has nobody seen it? Like, I don't know why anybody thought that I was just gonna, like, oh, whatever, forget about it. Like, I got raped by two strange men that night after leaving your house without my phone, after you guys watched me leave alone without my phone, and it was early in the night. And when I got my phone back, one of the tabs that was open was the lift tab, and I already had a location set. Like, I was gonna try to leave. It was like a 5-minute span from remembering everything to remembering nothing. I just don't believe you guys. I think you guys are trying to save face. So, yeah, I'm over it. So I'm just frustrated, and I wanted to.
Jake first defended himself by stating that the party wasn't out of control, Raven wasn't on the guest list, security had removed them, and ring footage showed them leaving alone with their phone. He claimed that he offered help but was rebuffed, and tweeting was the only way they could contact Raven as they blocked him. He also added that he did not know where the talks about a restraining order came from, as he knows nothing about that, and he finally adds that he's willing to help them in any way possible, even offering ring footage as well as footage from the night that was filmed, saying that he never withheld it from her and that he would continue to try to help her through mutuals that they shared. Carrington, on the other hand, offered a vague response expressing sadness and claiming to have tried to reach out but was not able to as he was also being blocked. He rounds up his short message by saying that his heart goes out to them and that he's grateful that they have a platform to be able to speak truth. Johnnie and Grace also follow Jake's path to offer an apology without defending themselves, focusing on empathy, an act that Raven acknowledged, saying empathy was all they wanted, but the damage had already been done. After seeing all of their responses, Raven had kind words for Johnnie and Grace as they sympathized with her and apologized for the plight that she went through.
So this video is for Grace and Johnnie specifically. I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for what you said, Grace, in my comment section, and for what you said, Johnnie, on Twitter. I appreciate you both. That's literally all I needed, was just like a little empathy and a little I'm sorry, or like that you understand. And the joke is, I didn't even like call out either of you or say either of your names on either of those videos, and you guys are the only people that have come out and said anything like that and like haven't approached it from some sort of like defensive kind of way. And I appreciate you both for that. And Johnnie, I'm sorry for blocking you. I blocked you way back when that whole situation happened. I didn't know that you didn't know, so I am really sorry that your name got caught up in all this. It was your party, but you had nothing to do with that whole situation. I don't even think I was around you that much at that party, and if I was, I don't remember. And if I was and was making you or Grace uncomfortable, I'm so sorry. I just want you both to know, like, I was out of my mind that night. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I got roofied. I don't know if I just drank too much. Like, it's sketchy because I don't remember taking a single shot, so it just makes no sense to me. But regardless,
As for Carrington, she didn't appreciate the fact that he wasn't even generous enough to say her name in his tweet, where he addressed her as someone. She also debunked his claims that he tried to reach her but he was blocked already, saying that she blocked him after she had already made several attempts to reach out to him, as mentioned previously in the video. She even saw and met him in person at an emo night, and he still failed to take that chance to address her concerns. It was only after all this that she blocked him. Remember that the Halloween party took place 3 months before he finally made efforts to reach out to her.
who do you think I am, bro? Just wanted to approach the situation with the utmost compassion. So sad to hear about someone's experience after they left the party. I tried to reach out, but unfortunately was blocked. You know when you were blocked? You were blocked after I already tried to talk about it with you. I sent you a DM on Instagram, not even just on my account. I know it got stuck in the request, but I DM'd you also when I didn't have my phone on my brother's account. And I know that got stuck in the request, so I also DM'd you on TikTok. Never got a response. And we were mutuals. So we were also mutuals at emo night when I saw you and ran into you and asked you if you could talk to me about what happened. And I know that you knew what was going on at that party because we were all aware that there was some security footage that I haven't seen, no one saw. You had a perfect opportunity to talk to me when I approached you at emo night, trying to get some closure, trying to get some information. That was your opportunity. That was when you and I were still mutuals on TikTok, and you unfollowed me on TikTok. And
finally, for the main character of the whole story, Jake Weber, Raven's response to Jake is kind of a mixed bag, as her initial reaction was quite aggressive. They were not pleased that he addressed her on a platform where he had the smallest reach, Twitter, as opposed to TikTok, where he is almost a demigod. They also refuted his claims of being blocked when he tried to reach out like Carrington, saying she again reached out first and blocked him when he didn't respond. But as the situation progressed and more conversations were had around the matter, Jake Weber initially invited Raven personally to his house to meet and finally talk about the events of that night. And after the meetup, they came out again to talk about Jake, but this time they were thanking him for providing them with the much-needed details of the events that night, and also helping them get the closure that they so badly needed. And that was the end of the drama with Raven and the Jake Weber crew. Now, this interaction sparked some questions among fans as they wondered why Carrington would treat someone that seemed to be so close to him with very little regard. And one user pointed out that his actions have been a little unusual lately, and that they alleged that he was probably doing all of that as a result of regular use of hard drugs. The claim was also backed by another user who said that his looks changed significantly in the last few months, with his eyes getting dried up and his face getting thinner. Now, we've seen and heard numerous times Jake and his buddies are talking about smoking weed in joints, something that has been proven to be a gateway drug, so it's plausible that Carrington probably took his drug game up a notch. We don't know. Although as soon as Carrington caught whiff of this rumor and allegation, he quickly made a video to address it, saying all that he sniffs are bath salts.
Okay, I wasn't gonna speak on this, but you know what? I'm gonna speak on it, okay? First of all, don't come in my comment section saying that I'm doing snow when whole time I'm on bath salts. Okay, second of all, it doesn't like, do you guys know how hard it is to find like good bath salts? Do you understand that? Okay, it doesn't just, bath salts don't just, Jesus. Bath salts don't just fall from, bath salts don't just fall from the sky, you know. Second of all, put some respect on my name. Not everybody else has the guts to go on bath salts. Me? I got that. I got plenty of them. Finally of all, everybody, oh my God, what are you guys saying about me online? Holy shit.
So the theory is debunked. There's nothing like this happening behind the scenes. We can breathe out. Everything is okay.
In the zestiest way possible, Carrington debunked the rumors making rounds that he was hooked on cocaine. But still, it's understandable why such rumors would fly because they're really young and in a high-pressure industry. So it's not uncommon for young people on such spaces to find relief in drugs, alcohol, or something else. But it's a great thing that Carrington is clean and there's no need to worry for him. With this amount of controversy surrounding Jake, Johnnie, Carrington, and Tara, it's no surprise that they have a huge following, and one that is committed to them so much so that it seems like an obsession.